Welcome to the FiPL Farm Diaries, brought to you by the Yorkshire Dales National Park Authority. FiPL stands for Farming in Protected Landscapes, a programme funded by Defra that helps farmers and land managers in England's national parks and national landscapes access funding for projects supporting climate, nature, people and place. In each episode, we'll dig into a particular part of a project that's received FiPL funding. And while we focus on one theme at a time, every story is part of a much bigger picture, showing how these projects and people are working together to shape the future of farming in the Yorkshire Dales landscape. Join us as we meet the people making a difference and discover how farming in protected landscapes is delivering for the Dales, one story at a time.
Hello and welcome to the 11th episode of the FiPL Farm Diaries. This episode is all about farmer collaboration. Let's face it, as an industry, it's not something we're really well known as, but the people that we've got on this episode have really shown what the benefits are when we can work together in a group. The other thing that I've really noticed in this episode is the value of having somebody to facilitate or project manage these collaborations. With the best will in the world, farmers are very busy people. So when something needs to happen, it's really good to have somebody that's not involved in the actual farm businesses themselves, organising, facilitating and doing whatever needs to be done. So the first people that we're going to speak to are returning guests. We've got Gemma Wilson and Steve Dunning from the Orton Fells Farm Cluster, and we're going to hear what they've been up to, having a bit more welly behind them as a group of farmers rather than just individually.
Steve Dunning, farm at basically Lower Taybay, sheep and dairy, 200 dairy cows, fetch and puddle our own young stock, and sell about 70, 80, 90 calves a year, beef calves, straight into the beef trade off the cows. Mm-hmm. We don't fetch them up. Member of the Orton group, farm cluster group, chairman of the group at present moment, and really happy the way it's going.
Gemma Wilson, I've facilitated the Orton Farm Cluster since just after it began, I think, part-time. And for the rest of the time, I work for the Loon Rivers Trust as a project/farm advisor.
So if I start by asking you then, just give us an overview, well, both of you, from both of your points of view, about the Orton Fells Cluster Group. How did that come about? Why? What? And what have you done, I suppose?
Basically, where we all came together was when we came out of Europe, we realised that payments wasn't going to be as good or weren't going to be even there as time moved on. We felt as individual farmers averaging about 150, 160 hectares, we didn't have a lot of clout as one person, as one business. We come together and you fetch it together with about 2,500 hectares. We have a bit of clout. Mm-hmm.
So just talk us through then some of the projects that you've done. You talked about fencing watercourses off, Gemma.
Yeah.
Talk us through that, the why and the what actually happened and what you did.
So basically, because we're a group and we're all farms that neighbour each other, what we tried to do for start really was put in corridors for wildlife. Mm-hmm. So we fenced off watercourses. We've put hedges in, and we've planted areas of the farm where we've fenced the corner off and put trees in, and that kind of gives cover for wildlife. Mm-hmm. But it's also good for your spiders and all the rest of it, isn't it? Because there's that growth there that's left wild. And also the reason for that, we've also planted trees where we fenced off, because that going forward hopefully will help to keep the becks killed for the fishing, because as the environment changes, we're being told that the water's going to warm up and it might be any good for the brown trout that's in the river at the present moment, in the becks. So that's what we've done as far as that's concerned.
Mm-hmm. And Gemma, tell us how you've been involved with that, because you are, as you said, from the Loon River Trust.
Yeah.
So what input did you have there?
So obviously one of our main priorities is fencing off watercourses, but not always as straightforward as that, is it? And it's also got to work for the farm as well. So there's certain areas, especially as on this farm, such as the river just running beside this house, very flashy. We thought when we can't possibly spend any capital on that because it's just going to wash away. So we've kind of done an alternative route in that field, particularly, haven't we, Steve, in being making sure it's all low input grassland, put that into a CS option.
Yep.
we've planted 520 trees in total in that 5-hectare field parcel, and that also fits in the SFI agroforestry.
Yeah.
So some of those trees are next to the river, and that's the compromise to also work with the farm business, bring some revenue in, and keep the water cool, make sure it works for everybody.
Yeah.
The other thing that we didn't like, Barbara and myself didn't like, the idea of fencing it, because it would alter the character of the field completely.
Yeah.
There's a lot of little places where a river runs over when it's low, you know, and you can watch the caddis flies and mayflies and everything at that time of year. And once it gets sort of covered around with high vegetation and trees, it just spoil all that. So we backed off from actually fencing it.
Yeah.
But we're doing what we're doing with a few sheep in it.
Yeah, yeah.
And
working not all the time.
No.
Working as a group allows us to spend that time thinking of an alternative. It's not a no, it's
a what else can we do?
What else can we do?
Yeah.
There's certain areas on other members' farms where it's got species-rich grassland, but there's also a really lovely beck running through the field.
Yep.
And I also agree that it wouldn't be a good idea to fence it off completely from livestock, because obviously that species-rich grassland needs some grazing at some periods of the year. So we've been able to put in double gates and just nuances like that.
Yeah.
Working together and being able to pick up that alternative funding that isn't necessarily through the government that allows us to do things like that is really useful for everybody, I think. But
I mean, the overall benefits of so effectively you have all got separate businesses, but effectively from a nature connectivity and an environment point of view, you run in it as one big block of land, aren't you, through this FiPL project, which must have a huge impact. Much bigger impact than if you all tried to do it on, separately.
We wouldn't have any clout at all.
No.
We come against, for funding, we come against Lowther, which is the big, and RSPB.
Yeah.
So we're not on their size, but we're still there with enough clout to talk to these people, say, all right. And I think it actually does interest people. It helps with their imagination about what you can do if you work together. It shows you possibilities that you wouldn't do on your own, or you couldn't do. And just what we talked about before, instead of being a situation where somebody says no, we can usually work with it's a can do.
Yes.
And that's so important.
Yeah, it is.
And I guess my role as a facilitator is making it as easy as possible, because a lot of this environmental work we do has a large capital outlay. So it can make people feel uncomfortable at what point in the year they're going to get that back for the business. And just there's just a lot of time that people don't appreciate with tree orders, what species need to go in. And that's where I can help and kind of just make people more comfortable with the idea of being able to do this on a larger scale. Because they can ring me up with any question, I'll answer it and just help them out and make sure it's all going smoothly. Predict how many days it's probably going to take, so you can see how many staff you want to send out. Steve to hedge flank, can't you? Often doing it together, actually. If I've got an odd day, I'll come out and just try and help you do that.
Well, we work with growing well, or you work with growing well. We planted some here last year, which is great for them guys, because they don't always have all that much to do this time of year.
Growing Well are a mental health organisation that originally started in Kendal at Sizer, their first site with the veg and the polytunnels, and then since, I think in the last 3 or 4 years, we've moved up to T-Bay. So obviously that's really local for us, and we made that connection. And it works really well for both of us. They are quieter in the winter period because they don't have as much to do in the polytunnels. So they come out with us for a morning, and it's great for us to kind of put on an event. We always make sure it's a really nice experience for them, with tea and coffee and biscuits and
cakes and stuff.
And they feel part of something. You're always there, or Mike as well. And they kind of get to see a part of the landscape that they wouldn't necessarily see, understand more of maybe why the landscape looks like it does, and also understand a little bit about your business as well, which I think is really important.
It's funny, actually, all the interviews that I've done where there's been hedge lane involved, it seems like that's the activity that brings the community together, from people from outside a farm, and it's something that they can get stuck into, isn't it, and get involved with. And exactly as you said, Gemma, see the farm from a different angle. I think we forget how lucky we are in farming that we get to see it all the time. They only ever see it off a footpath, don't they? So it's a totally different thing.
And it's great for us because, they'll stand there and maybe just, a part of your farm that I've been to so many times, and they'll be thinking, wow, like this is amazing. And then it kind of makes you look at it again and think, it is pretty amazing.
Brilliant. Right, let's talk about some of the other stuff that you've done then. So carbon auditing. Talk us through that, Stephen.
Carbon auditing started on this farm in 2013 because we were a Nestle producer, and they were very interested right from start about going down the road, both from our point of view, but from their point of view, selling out into the big wide world. Their customers are now looking for working with farms and working with businesses that are trying to do it as carbon negative, as low carbon as we possibly can. So when it came to the cluster group, each farm was given a carbon audit, where we came together afterwards and benchmarked and talked about it.
FiPL has allowed us to look at whether it's a potential income stream, because it's talked a lot about in like farming publications, and it's the next best thing. And it's allowed us to answer the question of, is it possible for us right now to make any income from carbon? And I think the answer was, not necessarily in your case, Steve, because you're using it in your supply chain, but for a lot of these projects, let's say, it's absolutely pushed onto farmers that they should be looking at these alternative markets. And actually, with a lot of what we're doing in terms of environmental outputs with our hedging and field parcels with trees in, it is not on a big enough scale to warrant selling any carbon. We would actually be in a deficit through putting it through the carbon auditing process. So although we've come to that conclusion, it's allowed us to understand where we sit within that, and it is a no. And we've also looked at soil carbon and lots of different things, and just really delved into that area and allowed each business within the group to decide, is this something I want to look into or not? And essentially that was one of our main goals.
What else, Gemma?
Ours is the stands for the Orton Wildlife and Landscapes, which was essentially a subsidiary of Orton Farm Cluster. So the local community joined as an environmental group off the back of, I think, what we were doing, and we have been able to partially fund them through FiPL to support them doing that. And we've collaborated in the past, haven't we, in terms of they've come out onto farm, seen what you're doing.
They're very interested in wildflowers in traditional limestone meadows and that sort of stuff. They take plants out of there and plant on the roadsides to try to get them more to look better in summer, if you will. They do quite a lot of work with planting on. We have quite wide grass verges on some of our roads. So we've planted some of them. There's some land that's under something called Orton Manor Court, and we're not going into that because we've been another 3 weeks. But anyway, there's work through the land they've got. They had land that wasn't doing anything, so they've planted trees, and they've done that side of it. And they've worked with the watercourses. They've gone looking for various what's the
white claw crayfish,
and stuff like that. Some of them has been with you when you're putting the electric through to see what floats to the top when you're sunning. And it's kind of pulled the community into what we are doing as well. We've had various speakers, RSPB. Also, I try to go to both, and then I sort of there's some link between one and the other. But they get a lot out of it. They really enjoy it, and it just gives some connectivity between people that live in the area and the farms, and they know us now. So that makes a difference.
And I think I think it was just important that we're not very good at shouting about what we're doing, I don't think, environmentally. And I think, as a local member of the community, they probably don't know what's going on. What are all these tree cages or spirals that look slightly strange across the landscape? And it's having people out on farm, which we've tried to do through farm visits in the evenings, kind of engage people, let them know what we're doing, and also let them know how much investment is going into some of this great stuff in the local area and what's actually going on. Because I think the problem is sometimes they just see a tractor driving through the village, making a lot of noise, and they don't see the other end of the farming. I think that was really important to us to try and kind of get more of that message across. Yeah,
that's a brilliant initiative. Okay. Schools then. Do you want to talk about schools?
Yeah, we have school visits. My daughter-in-law works in schools. So she was really interested in getting primary school children onto the farm, which we did last year. We had 4 different schools, I think. So when each school left when the visit was over, we took them to on a part of the farm and we planted some trees and said, well, this is Auckland School for trees, this is Cradley Ravensworth trees. So hopefully as them kids grow up, I said, you come back any time and see how your trees are doing. There's a connection there between them growing up and seeing trees growing as well.
Yeah.
And they got really excited about planting trees.
I bet they did.
And FiPL allowed us to do that because I had various conversations with schools multiple years ago about them coming out onto farm more, and the massive restriction was that the cost of transport was just too much money, which, it seems ridiculous because Alton Primary School are possibly only travelling, 1 or 2 miles, but they still, the kids can't walk. So that was in excess of maybe £300 each for school transport. So FiPL allowed us to help fund those trips so that the schools could benefit from coming out more, and over, I guess, an amount of years, continue the story, not just in one season.
Part of the environment.
Yeah.
I remember going to plant that tree at Raisgillow. They love being among calves and all the rest of it. But the real one that does ring my bells, if that's the right word to put it, is once a year we work through one of the training outfits and through First Milk and through us guys to fetch on 100 students where on the leaving year to show them a different side of agriculture they didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
So they come with, there's 100 of them goes to Westman Motorway Service and sees the butchery and all that going on. And in the morning, 100 comes to us, and then at lunchtime we swap over the other way around. So we have vets here doing working with cows, showing fertility, showing them that whether they're in calf or not, when we put what's the word?
PD
in them, but with the
scanner,
the screen, so they can say, well, that's its head and that's its bum, and it's and it's in calf for 40 days and this, that, and the other. So we show them all that side of it. But the vet also talks about going into the vet business and being assistants and working and animal nurses and all this sort of stuff, which kind of really gets them going. Then we have Cars Billington come down with a tractor or whatever, and one of their mechanics, and they'll maybe fetch a motorbike down and take wheels off and show how motorbikes are serviced and all the rest of it. And then we have feed firms. We have ourselves, obviously. The Owls guys are here as well. We have First Milk come down and show them about soil sampling, about dung beetles, worms, dig a piece of land out, put a litre of water in, time how long it takes to disappear and all that sort of stuff. And it gives them a completely different perspective on agriculture as to being just think somebody standing in the milking parlour and milk cows. It's not. And there's all sorts of different avenues you can go down through agriculture to do different things with your life or what you might want to do.
And I think as a group we've worked on risk assessments and just being more comfortable with having children on farm. What else have we looked at? Just other options to make it a bit simpler. Maybe people that haven't had children on farm before have had children out and actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah. That's the thing that again with the whole episode on getting kids onto farm, and the people that I've interviewed for that episode have said how fulfilling it is.
It's
how
so
much
important.
How
it's
much they enjoy
it.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. And some of the questions that they come out with, we've had some laughs over that as well.
You wouldn't believe.
Yeah. Just talk us through what you were saying earlier about the different revenue streams and things that you're able to access as a group where you maybe wouldn't have been able to as an
So probably knowing the farms fairly well over the past few years, I've been able to advise, I think, looking at different markets as to whether what they're wanting to do is most appropriate for CS, environmental scheme, revenue option. We've just come into SFI, trying to piece that together, looking at when these schemes are going to end. Hopefully they will not all end at the same time. It's kind of looking into the future at some of this stuff, and also identifying areas that the government won't fund, such as we've done quite a lot of work over the last year or two on boundary hedges.
Okay.
The government won't fund that because if one landowner is applying for it, essentially you don't have management control over both sides.
Yes.
So, the premise of why we came together, one of them was to improve connectivity across the landscape. That is a huge factor that was missing on all of these farms, and it just seems such a simple win, especially in terms of livestock biosecurity as well, and lots of other reasons. So we were able to approach FiPL with our map and where we wanted these hedges, and we were successful in getting the funding last year and this year actually for our boundary hedges. Brilliant. Which we wouldn't have been able to through the government. Definitely not.
No, they wouldn't have it at all.
No.
And the thing is, without the funding, we couldn't afford to do it.
No.
It's got to be funded, else it isn't going to happen.
Yes. Yeah.
Just like back to our main point as a group, being financially viable, we really do try and think about looking into the future as well at all these different markets and whether certain things that are done on farm should potentially wait to be done in the future, because you might get a better payment. We're not just looking at right now, and we're also not expecting anybody to do anything that isn't funded. If somebody comes to me and says, yeah, I just want to put this bit in, maybe I'll just do it myself, and say, absolutely not. Like, I'll get you some funding to do that.
Yeah, that's brilliant. There's one thing that I have picked up from speaking to everybody on this podcast is that the FiPL funding seems much more straightforward, a bit more common sense behind it, for want of a better way of putting it.
And the payments come so fast.
Yes, everybody said
that
as well.
Waiting, because that's painful. You can go for a grant and get it, and then if you borrowed money to do it, by the time you get it, half of it could have gone in interest.
Yes.
So that gives you real confidence to actually work with them.
Yeah.
But I think they're really interested. The last thing I'm going to talk about is the opportunities that come are just amazing. You don't realise it. I mean, you can really get dropped in at the deep end. I was asked to come up and meet some people at services, and you were there, weren't you? Neither of us knew really what was going to go on, and all of a sudden we had this big room full of people sat down to listen to us talk about this. Well, we weren't really prepared. But what I wasn't prepared about was actually the sort of people we were talking to, the opportunities that came from that, because it was the Royal...
Yeah, that was the Royal Countryside Fund.
Okay.
Quite a few people within...
Well, I went dressed like this.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd have been bothered.
They weren't. But you just got put in the spot, I'll tell you. We knew you were coming, we need time to think about it.
Yes.
But bang, there you are, flipping.
Yeah. Well, it's maybe not a bad thing, that, is it? You just say, it was King Charles there.
It wasn't.
Not quite to that.
Brilliant. I think it's come across really well about the power of the group. That's come across really well.
That's what it's really all about.
Absolutely.
Cooperation between farming businesses.
Yeah. And I think
just the practicality of it, just the easiness of working together to achieve something, and having that central person there to do it makes it so much easier and simpler, and makes everybody more comfortable, I think.
And also, as a group, we can't forget our friends down at Ribblesdale.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a group of guys down there that have a similar group to what we have here. And for the last 3 or 4 years, we've come together, haven't we, twice a year?
Once a year.
And you wouldn't believe the fun we've had. It's incredible.
Brilliant.
There is a social element.
Of course there is. So there should be,
And we get together and have meals, don't we? Like, we're going to have a bit of a Christmas meal next week. And an AGM. And for people working by themselves on farms, it really is good for mental health, never mind anything else, to have something to look forward to come together.
I mean, on a serious note, that is a really important element, the social aspect. We have a WhatsApp chat. We're all quite casual, aren't we? We don't take it too seriously. We are coming together under some funding, but it also needs to benefit everybody, and you need to feel like you're part of something.
So the second person that we've got on this episode is Rob Bunn. Rob works for Pasture for Life and manages their farming in protected landscape programme across the north of England. This is a huge programme, and it's actually renowned across the whole country for being really open, honest, and getting a lot of good, switched on, curious people involved with it. So let's hear what they've been up to with Pasture for Life.
So my name's Rob Bunn, and I work for Pasture for Life as the project manager for the Farming in Protected Landscapes programme in the north of England, which covers the protected landscapes of the Forest of Bowland, the Yorkshire Dales, the Lake District, Nidderdale and the North Pennines.
Right, Rob. So Pasture for Life have had quite a bit of FiPL funding for what is really a massive programme, isn't it? You've got a lot of farmers involved with it. Just tell us what you've had funding for.
That's right, Amy. So starting in January 2023, we secured FiPL funding, Farming Protected Landscapes funding from the 5 areas to run a programme which is all about really farmers supporting each other. So at the heart of that is a mentoring programme where we've got a team of 24 farmers that have spent a bit of time doing some training, and then they're around and available to support other farmers through farm visits, WhatsApp calls, small group mentoring sessions, all sorts of things like that.
Let's talk about the mentorship aspects then of
Okay.
this programme that you've had funding for. Tell us about that.
So we've got a brilliant team of farmer mentors. Again, good example of how we've sort of evolved the programme. So initially we started off with like 17 or 18 in the first year, I think it was, and now we've got 24. We've responded to people saying, oh, such and such could be a good mentor. I'd like to hear from them. Or I've got a real specific topic. Could I have a mentor that could help me with that?
Mm-hmm.
So we've kept widening the programme and extending the mentor team to sort of help facilitate that. It's really good, genuine support, really. Farmers learn best from other farmers.
Yep.
They trust it. They're a really good team of mentors, and they have done some training so that they just know how to ask the right questions and how to respond and things like that.
Yep.
So the mentoring is based around farm visits to the mentor's farm and to the mentor to yours. Messages, phone calls, support like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the big wins that we've had, or the big successes, is small groups where 2 or 3 farmers go to another farm or to their mentor's farm, and then some really good conversations have come out of that by having the sort of 3 or 4 people together at one. This year in particular, we've had some new sort of things happening. For example, one of our mentees was buying her first cattle, and she just wanted a bit more support with going to see them and choose them and negotiating on the deal. So her mentor went with them on that. Another little nice success was when mentee was going off to do his mentor visit, and then he asked his friend who's also a mentee, and they went together. Mm-hmm. So it was sort of two and one. So yeah, lots of good little outcomes like that have gone a long way in the programme.
Brilliant. And mentorship, I think a lot of people think mentorship is about being told what to do on your farm. It's not at all, is it? It's about sharing experiences, and it's actually not even about age. So the mentor doesn't have to be old and wise. They just need to have experience in a certain area that's of interest to the mentee, and it's about sharing ideas backwards and forwards.
Exactly that. Yeah, the mentor would never come and say, right, you're going to sell that class of stock and get that class of stock or that breed or whatever. It's all about being there to sort of discuss things, share what's happened with you, what's worked with you, what hasn't, and then build a network where people can talk about things and sometimes just get things out of your head.
Yeah.
You know, it could just well be that you've been thinking about doing something. Is it a daft idea? I don't know. You chat to your mentor, bounce it around a little bit, and then just think, oh no, that could work. And it just gives you the confidence to get going.
Yeah.
So yeah, the mentors will never come and tell you to do something. They'll come and support you with thinking about doing something, which could have an outcome of that.
Yeah. And I suppose with any form of collaboration, it's all about the relationship, isn't it? And this is a really great way to build a relationship with somebody before, in case anything else crops up that you can collaborate on. So
definitely,
it's amazing to hear that there's a lot of different little things come out of that mentorship programme.
Definitely. I will just add in to say that you don't have to have just one mentor, particularly if that did as we started off. But what has happened is we've got some people that have got 3 or 4 mentors because they're looking at specific things. Yeah. So it's really helped build their network. So yes, some of the mentees may well be working with 3, 4, maybe 5 mentors.
I bet the mentors have got an awful lot out of it as well. It's nice, isn't it, to be able to help and to see somebody progress and move forward.
You're right, actually. One of the mentors said to me after year 1 or maybe into year 2 that they were getting as much from the mentoring and thinking about their business as they felt they were giving out as well.
Yeah.
So they got as much back from it. So they found it really valuable. And also, whilst we pay the mentors for this support, lots of them do it for free, and would do it for free and do go above and beyond as well, because they enjoy it. They feel like they're helping somebody, and also they're getting stuff from it too.
Yeah. Well, collaboration is so important, isn't it, in the industry? We don't do enough of it. So tell us a bit more then about some of the specific things that people have asked for from the project.
Well, there's been a few really. Cattle handling comes to mind, and I'm really pleased that this year now we can do some cattle handling training days in the events programme in the new year in 2026. Also, lots of people were asking for support around doing surveys on their farms, biodiversity surveys. So we had a really good event in the South Lakes a few weeks ago where the farmer who hosted us, Adam Crow and his partner Helen, set traps up in the summer to catch various insects, comparing 2 different management systems, and then collected all the insects in, preserved them, and then we went down with our speaker Kathy and analysed those and sort of compare the different management systems. We also went out into the meadows and looked at plant diversity and how to count species for that. So that was a real key one this year, which really related to what the farmers wanted support on.
So it's good that you can that it's not just a case of, it's not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's not just a case of coming to see somebody's whole system. You get into some really technical specific things, aren't you? And being able to fund that with the FiPL grant, which is brilliant.
Yeah, so we have had specific technical people come and do some speaking. A lot of our events have been around farm visits. Farmers do really like going to see other farms and hearing what and seeing what people are doing. But sort of intermingled in that, we've got some technical people as well. And we've got quite an exciting event coming up in the new year, which will have a key speaker, which will share a really good day around upland farming systems and stuff. So we're looking forward to that.
National park staff quite often come to these events as well, don't they? So the first time I met Meg Schofield was at a PFL event. So I've no doubt there's been some collaboration come out of that. Like if they're getting out to meet these farmers who are farming in the parks and they need, you know, volunteers for different other projects and that kind of thing, like it's a really good way for the park staff to get to know the people that they're working with, I suppose, isn't it?
Definitely. We've been really fortunate in that our FiPL officers have come from all the landscapes to lots of the events. Been, like you say, chatting to the farmers, and I'm sure some FiPL projects and applications have evolved from that as well. We've really found value in that when they're there, they can actually step up and say, oh, you could use FiPL funding for this, or you could consider that. So yeah, lots of really good opportunities when the FiPL officers come to our events as well.
Well, no, certainly from being in the industry as long as I have and knowing about PFL, but not particularly, you know, I've been to a few meetings, but not being that heavily involved in it, it is obviously a really supportive, very forward-thinking, switched-on, curious group of farmers that you've managed to get going. So
yeah, and very friendly as well. Like our events are very relaxed. No one feels like they can't ask a question. I used to get really worried about overrunning on time with events. But a wise farmer once said to me, well, that's because there's lots to see and lots to talk about and lots to chat about. So don't worry that we're here an hour later.
People will go if they need to go.
If they need to go, they'll go. So that was a good, because I did used to get a bit like, oh my God, we said we're going to finish at 4 and we're still here at 5. A bit trickier in the dark in the winter, but yeah for sure. It's nice when people just aren't in a rush to go home because they're just enjoying themselves and picking up lots of good stuff.
So the last guests are returning from the episode that we had before. This one, we've got Drew Woodward and Matt Jenkinson from the Crosby Ravensworth Parish Tree Group. They're going to be talking about how that group was formed and the types of things that they've done collectively together.
I'm the chair of the Crosby Ravensworth Parish Tree Group. We've been operating since the middle of 2018 when we were first dreamt up. And thus far we've planted something like 7,000 trees and 4 miles of hedges.
Yeah, I'm Matt Jenkinson, a local farmer, beef and sheep, be third generation at Woodfoot. And we've been working with the tree group for a number of years and done a number of projects. And going forward, I think just talking now, there's maybe a chance for some more projects going forward as well.
Brilliant. So Drew, then tell us about the tree group. Where did it come from? Why was it set up? And what sorts of things? You said you planted all those trees, but how does it work as a group?
Well, it started in 2018, as all these things do, over a beer in the pub. And in the middle of 2018, in the summer, we'd had a major storm come through and brought down lots of old trees, big mature trees. And we were bemoaning the fact that nobody ever plants a replacement tree. All they do is they chop them up for firewood and there's another gap in the hedge or in the skyline. So we made contact with Peter Leeson at the Woodland Trust. Pete has been our sort of mentor in the early days, who provided us with lots of guidance, a certain amount of funding. And we set up a process whereby we would knock on farmers' doors and say, we'd like to come and survey your fields. And we'd check how many field trees there were on the perimeters of every field, record it. Look out for places where we could fill gaps or put additional planting in. And then go back to the farmer and make a proposal. Initially, we were viewed with a certain amount of what's the word I'm looking for? Suspicion. What's this incomer doing? What's his angle? But actually, it wasn't long before we started getting farmers knocking on my door saying, "Why haven't I got any trees?" And it sort of developed from there. And now we've got good relationships with most of the farmers around, and people come to me now and people like Matt and say, look, I could do with a hedge here.
Yeah.
Can you do that next season? And we apply for the funding on their behalf. I think one of the big things that they benefit from, apart from the fact that they effectively get a couple of free fences and a free hedge, is the fact that we do all the paperwork.
Yeah.
I do have to trust the farmer when the money comes through to him that he'll pass it back to the tree group. But we haven't had any defaulters yet.
Brilliant. So, Matt, you were one of the lucky farmers then that got approached. Have you been involved from the start, or?
Yeah, I think we were one of the first ones in the first year.
You were first year of FiPL.
Yeah, and like basically, I came from the other family farm at Kirby Stephen, and through the years we've been involved with entry level and organic entry level and one thing or another, and we've planted a lot of hedges and taken advantage of schemes through the years. And then when I left Cirencester in 2013, I moved here in 2014 and noticed a big change in our landscape, and was just looking for an opportunity to take advantage of putting in some more hedges, just mainly from an agricultural point of view.
Yes.
Better grazing, taking advantage of the full area of a parcel, and basically trying to get a bit more shelter in as well.
Yeah.
With being a relatively early lambing flock, we had very little shelter on quite a high hill farm.
Yeah.
And I was getting more and more frustrated with agricultural schemes and perhaps the money not fully just being there. And then you go through the application process and it doesn't strictly mean that you get it.
Yeah.
And took the opportunity to work with the tree planting group and really haven't looked back from it, really.
Yeah. It must be a big bonus for you as a farmer to have somebody like Drew sort of coordinating it all and keeping it all going.
It's a damn sight easier ringing Drew up with an issue than being put on hold with the RPA.
Yes, I bet, yeah.
And it gets sorted, and we can stand in the corner of a field and rather draw up and envisage what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
And we can both have a bit of input. It works both ways. Yeah, we're getting it paid for, and the paperwork's taken out of it, and in return, we put some infield trees in or give up some less favourable areas to widen out a hedgerow to plant some more trees. And it's give and take, and I think it works well from both sides of it, really.
Yeah. So, Drew, what has the FiPL grant actually paid for with regards the tree planting group? What does that money cover?
Everything.
Everything. Okay.
So I say everything. Volunteer labour doesn't get paid for.
Yes.
But we will put in for a grant for the fencing either side of a hedge, or if it's an enclosure that we're planting trees in, that we'll fence off. Then we'll claim for hedging at a rate per metre, and we do a standard 6 plants per metre arrangement. And then again with trees, we get paid for the stakes and the protective tubes as well as the trees.
Yeah.
So it's all inclusive. It is. I can't understand why any farmer would refuse it.
No.
And particularly now that there isn't an argument that says, "Oh, a 3 metre wide hedge, I'm going to lose some of my basic payments," because that's no longer an argument.
No, it's not a thing anymore. Okay, so aside from obviously the tree planting and the hedge planting, the group itself then, do you do anything in terms of, I suppose, I want to say knowledge exchange? Like, do you get together as a group and discuss what you've done, or do you, presumably, Matt, the farmers in the group and sort of see what they're doing and learn from them a little bit? Is that the case?
Yeah, it's sort of the way that it really took off in our area. Farmers are often standoffish with something like this.
Yeah.
It maybe takes someone to, and we didn't go rushing into it. We just set off with maybe 100, 200 metre strips and an odd infield tree just to see how it works. And it just takes a farmer to start looking over the wall to see that it has worked.
Yeah.
And, you have a bit of crack with a few folk in the pub over a pint, and it works well. And I think it's spread from there, really.
Yeah.
But it's educating some people that it isn't just all environmental benefits. There's a lot of agricultural benefits from it as well.
Yeah.
In terms of livestock husbandry and inputs, and it just helps us get to that low input, high output. status that we're getting to. It's just another run on the ladder to get us there.
Yeah. And presumably, because you work with a lot of farmers in the local area, it will have improved connectivity for wildlife and all sorts of that. Yeah.
I mean, the two environmental things are connectivity of hedges. With we're always trying to connect a hedge to a woodland or to another hedge, so that you've got these corridors.
So it's another benefit, really.
It is. And I think, there'll be a lot of farmers maybe that look at hedges and can absolutely see the benefits of it. But it is, with the best will in the world, it's another job to do, isn't it? So when you've got a group like you've set up, Drew, that takes that pressure off a little bit more. And people that actually want to go and lay hedges for a day, that's brilliant. So within the FiPL funding then, Drew, what is this funding being measured against? Is it literally meters of hedges laid? Is there any other parameters that you sort of measuring as you go on through the work, as it were?
Not really.
No wildlife surveys or anything. No,
we're not doing that, and that will come, I guess, when
they get
mature.
Yeah. Brilliant.
No, it is. In a nutshell, it is a good scheme to be a part of.
Yeah.
You feel like, from a farming point of view, you feel a bit more involved with it because it's not a natural England RPA.
Yes.
It's not a red tape. You're doing it more with folk out of your area. And I wouldn't. Maybe sounds a bit corny, but there's maybe a bit more of a feel-good factor about it.
Yeah. That's not corny. You have to enjoy what you do. You have to enjoy it, haven't you? You have got to enjoy it.
Yeah. The only disappointment for me about this whole tree group thing, there's probably a couple. One of them is that there aren't enough young volunteers coming through, and by young I mean people who are retired at 50 or 55, and of course people aren't these days. And we're all getting older, but we'll manage that.
To get your young farmers clubs on it, not my flower arranging.
That's not a bad idea. What was the other thing I was going to say? Oh yeah, the other disappointment for me is that I've given a number of lectures to different parishes about how we set a tree group up, what we do.
Yeah.
The very important bit, which I think is why they fall down, is that we need a project manager at the centre of it who finds out where we're going to plant them, orders the trees, gets the volunteers organised, gets the fencing put in, But none of the others have really taken off big style, apart from Asby, who have done a reasonable amount. They're not doing too badly. But there are several others I've been to that just haven't developed. And at the end of my first end-of-term report, I put a comment in something like, if every parish in the country planted this number of trees, would have planted 12 million trees this year.
Absolutely,
Well, and then people come back to me and say, well, you couldn't do that in London. Well, actually, you could, because if you put a tree in every garden in London, you'd put 12 million in London.
I think that's worth pointing out that we're not just planting trees for the sake of it.
No.
From my point of view, it isn't a green agenda.
No.
We're in the protein production business, aren't we?
Absolutely. Yeah.
At the end of the day, and it's putting them things in the right area. One, from a farming point of view, and two, that they actually grow and do well.
You can't just put them anywhere, can you?
No, we're not just going willy-nilly banging trees in because we think it's the right thing to do. It's that natural capital of it that it's going to be in the right area to last its lifetime and have all the knock-on benefits that we've discussed.
And I suppose that's the beauty of having farmers involved in a group like this, is you've got some autonomy over it. You can say where they're going and have that discussion.
Any farmer that's got any land that's any way marginal, then he's as well putting trees into. But there's no point in putting them in where your grass is.
No. That's just it. We've all got fluky areas of farms and one thing or another. Well, it's that benefit of it, isn't it? You're putting something there that's gonna do well, and you're relieving a hassle further on in the year, aren't you? So, yeah.
No, we're just coming back to what you said about other parishes not getting going with it. That role of a facilitator or a project manager, whatever you want to call it, that's a big old job, is that? And yes, you can, people will volunteer, but should they have to? If you're meeting an objective for the parks or whoever else, that should be part of the FiPL funding, as far as I'm concerned, is to pay for somebody to coordinate it, because it's no small feat trying to get farmers lined up and trees and everybody else,
It's not a thought I've ever had, and I don't want paying. But if FiPL was to put a Drew Woodward in every parish,
exactly,
then
Get a hell of a
you
lot
could make
further.
it. You could make it. You could make it happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
And you know, it's very time consuming. I mean, I organise somebody to do a survey in the first place.
Yeah.
I produce, before they do a survey, I produce a map of the farm because
Mm-hmm.
I've agreed with the farmer what his boundaries are. Then after that's done, we agree a scheme, and I'll draw a map of the scheme, which goes into the application for FiPL.
Yeah.
And then when that's approved, there's maybe some tweaking to do there. I'll do the tweaking, and then we've now got a scheme.
Yep.
So how much fencing do we need?
Yeah.
Get the fencing contractor organised, get Ralphs to make sure they've got materials for us.
Yeah, exactly.
And then after all of that, it's a Saturday morning and we get the volunteers out.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, get them roped in. Yeah. That's what I mean, you see. Short of cloning you, Drew, that's, you know, that's a lot of work, isn't
Regretfully, Drew is going to step down in the not too distant future.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, I'm 74 now. You know, I'm not getting any younger.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Oh, well, that there goes.
No, but it can't be a farmer because a farmer's got too much work to do anyway.
Yeah.
It's got to be. Yeah. In the ideal world, it's somebody who's, what you need is a retired project manager, which is what I am.
Yeah.
You know, there's not much difference between
Yeah.
projects with nuclear submarines alongside and
farmers.
hedges in Crosby Ravensworth.
Yeah.
Just one thing that I don't know whether it's worth including in this, but the Yorkshire Dales volunteers have a spring meet and an autumn meet every year.
Yep.
And this year's spring meet is going to be held in Molesmeaburn Village Hall. And I'm going to be doing a guided walk of all our planting.
Brilliant.
For just a couple of hours wander around the parish to show people what we've been up to. So maybe that'll get a few people.
I'm going to say
interested.
that might spark a bit more movement, might it? Yeah.
You never know.